Prepare to have your senses violated. In most situations, commenting code is unnecessary and wasteful. Do you agree or disagree? Let's talk about it. This video is largely based on my own opinions and experiences. Your mileage may vary, and your opinions might as well. That is okay. This is not a one-solution-fits-all type of problem. Whether or not you should comment code depends on the product you are working on, the skill levels of the engineers and developers working on the product, the programming languages used, and the age of the product, the industry, and on and on and on. Keep in mind that best practices for each environment might be different, but these guidelines should be well accepted nearly everywhere. Clear and concise code does not need comments. Seriously, code that is easy to read and easy to understand does not need comments. Full stop. Comments should be used to explain, to remove doubt and confusion, not to state in a different way what is plainly already said in the code. Comments should not be added for the sake of adding comments. If you are doing this, find better ways to spend your time. Don't put comments applying to a single line in a function above the function. Don't put comments applying to a single function at the top of a file. Try to put it right above the code it is describing. Believe it or not, comments are not free. There is a cost to creating them, and there is a cost to maintaining them. And that cost isn't just money, it is time, energy, brainpower, and then money. Comments have to be maintained just like code. If code changes, comments attached to that code also have to change. If you insist on having comments in your code, then you should be prepared to keep them current and keep them right. If this means peer reviewing comments like you do code, then that is what needs to happen. If you cannot ensure that a comment is correct, then that comment should not be there. Write better code, I guess, that doesn't require comments. Less is more. If you can describe a confusing piece of code in 5 words, don't use 6 and try really hard to use 4. If you are enjoying the video, please click the like button. You can't believe how much it helps. If you want more content like this, subscribe to the channel. We upload a new video every other Sunday covering topics relevant to software engineers and architects. Here are a few rules to guide in scenarios where code should not be commented. Do not leave comments whose purpose is not to describe code. To-dos and reminders do not go in your code. They go in your issue management system. Adding comments for the sake of mapping out your work is fine, provided that they are never checked in. Comments describing architecture should not be left in source code. The consumers for architecture diagrams aren't likely to be digging around in code. Use the right form of documentation for the job. While leaving random swear words, funny quips, and other attempts at comedy in code might be fun at times, you never know who the next person to read it might be. And Donnie Downer might not have the same taste as you and have a chat with the HR director. Maybe it matters, maybe it doesn't. Be safe out there. Don't expect comments to make up for crappy code. Crappy code is still crappy code even when garnished with comments. If you can write a good comment for crappy code, you can instead likely improve the code and make it less crappy since you understand it. If you cannot write a good comment for code, there is either a problem in the code or you do not understand it, which means you should not be writing the comment. Comments cannot take the place of real documentation. You can't use it to replace architecture diagrams, technical documentation, user guides, or README files, so don't try. Those documents have no place in your code. There are valid reasons and places to leave quality comments, but they are, in my mind, few and far in between. Here are a couple. If you copy-paste code from within your own system, you should leave a note in both places so that if it gets changed later on, someone should at the very least investigate the other location. Or, just refactor the code to have it in only one place. If you copy-paste code from the internet, you probably shouldn't do that, but we all have. Leave a link in your code pointing to the location you found it. it might just make somebody's day. If there is external documentation doing a very good job of describing features of your code, such as documentation for a third-party component, and you feel it is warranted, leave a link. It will typically be helpful. If you are fixing a bug and feel that a comment would make the fix more easily understood, that comment should be left. It can be helpful to explain your changes, what the bug was, or link to it in the issue management system. If you can head off problems with a comment, do so. A simple warning can sometimes save time and energy later on. Just be clear and concise about what you can or cannot do. When the code is just confusing, this can take several different appearances. If the code is doing something wonky and feel it should be explained, that is probably time well spent. If there is code that looks like it might not be needed but actually is, leave a comment to avoid the possibility that it gets removed. One of the best reasons to leave comments is when you are likely to be arrested or fired for not doing so. If you have compliance or regulatory oversight issues, and those issues can be fixed with comments, by all means do so. Do it a lot. If your source code is sold as the product to external users, even if they are developers, then yes, comment your code. Comment your code to the point where people who like comments would feel it to be excessive. You don't know the skill level of the team looking at the code, and in this case, more is better. If your code comments are going to be used by a tool like JavaDoc or Sandcastle to generate documentation, then leave comments. I don't particularly like these tools, but their use is widespread and accepted. Now, look at this code and tell me what it does. It isn't easy, is it? It is doubtful that you can figure it out after a quick glance. This code is simplistic, but still a terrible read. We aren't launching moon landers here, but it is still not easy to work out. What about now? I added a comment, and the comment explains what is happening. The code did not change at all. You can do a bit of mental gymnastics and work out what is going on in the code. This is definitely better, but that mental gymnastics are still a bit painful. And this version? It is the same code, but the parameters are more accurately named, and the function name tells you what it does. I think this version is better than both previous versions. The simple code now really is simple. Some might argue that this version, with a single comment describing the only complicated piece of code in the method, is better. Maybe it is, but I don't think it adds much, if anything. That is my case against leaving comments in your code. What do you think? If you enjoyed this video, you might also like this video that will try to convince you to adopt a coding standard and lead a more stable life.